6:30, I'll call to order the meeting of the Carver Redevelopment Authority for August 2nd, 2022. We're missing Savory Moore this evening, and I believe we can just go ahead and jump into our agenda. Some things have changed a little bit. On the Route 44 project, at the last meeting, which I was not at, we had a amendment to the URP kind of distributed for comments and people to compare it and look at it. It was a little complicated for anyone who isn't, like, such as Roger. I thought about you. That it was a little hard to kind of look through it and compare it to the URP binder. And this is something that will go up to the DHCD when the time comes. I thought it would be best if the attorney came down, John Smollett came down, and if anyone had any time for, I know Roger you probably can't, but if anyone had any time for a day meeting next week, maybe. John is available, and I need to post it because it'll be a planned meeting. So John is available next Thursday morning and Friday morning. You don't have to decide now, unless you can tell me.
Thursday or Friday being the 18th or the 19th? Oh no, 11th and 12th?
Yeah, God, don't kick it that far.
11 is out for me.
Okay, so is that the Thursday?
Friday, yeah, Thursday's out for me.
Okay, what about Friday?
I'm okay on Friday.
Because I need you there because I told him you had comments.
Oh, I sure do. Okay.
So I said, Joanna has comments.
I'm quiet. Oh, yeah, okay. So yes, for me on Friday and no for Thursday.
So Joanna's no for Thursday, so I would try to limit it to Friday. I still have to check with Sabre.
What time are we talking?
He wants to come in after the traffic, so maybe around 10
a.m.?
10 a.m.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
So, and Pat, I don't know about you. You
Where are we going to meet? Down here? Downstairs?
I'm good for it.
Yeah, I'll see what room's available. But it'll
Either
be-
that, behind the selectmen, there's an office.
Okay.
Tom has an idea.
I wasn't even looking at you yet.
I can almost guarantee you on a Friday morning, there'll be
An office.
shortage of spaces available.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Chances are.
Chances
it
are
won't
good.
be run on rooms.
Okay.
Reserve
Half
early,
day.
supply shortages,
It's a half day.
Yeah, but I do have to post it, so I
Okay.
need a couple of days, the
Okay.
proper time frame.
so we're looking at 8:12 at 10 a.m. today.
So we're looking at whatever the date of next Friday is,
8:12.
around 10,
Yeah.
between 10 and 10:30, and I will confirm that with John. I said I'd call him tomorrow.
So I put down 10 RDA at 12, on the 12th.
On the 12th.
The room, you'll tell us anyway in an email.
Yep, you'll get an agenda and I'll post the agenda,
Okay.
which means another post-it note on my computer monitor. And that's all there is with that, is because I was afraid that it would be a little bit confusing. I only looked at it once, maybe a month ago, and then didn't after that.
Can he preliminary send us the exhibits that he claims?
He says, I asked him about that today, and he said those are all actually the exhibits inside the notebook, the binder.
Really?
Yeah,
How am I going to get it?
don't you have the notebook, the binder?
I do, but what's the relationship?
I think it says exhibit.
I'll look.
Okay, but
I'll let you know.
if not,
I'll let you know. That's
I know you will.
I'll take a look. If that's the way he categorized it, that's.
I believe that's what he said, but he said he could provide them if that would make you more comfortable.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I like to make sure the language is wherever,
Yep,
if you don't mind.
exactly.
Okay, thanks.
And I believe, let's see, our last meeting was July 5th. And on the 8th, the order of eminent domain was recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and that kicked off a 30-day appeal period, a 30-day notice period of some kind. And so that's been recorded, and that's just for that little tiny 4,700 square foot parcel.
Okay.
So that's all done. Our attorney Kathleen O'Donnell is still sailing.
Wow.
Last seen going up the Nova Scotia coast or something.
Oh, lucky.
So she will get back to us when she gets back, and maybe I'll try and have her at our next meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Even though I'm not going to go away, I'm leaving the next meeting on the 23rd. So are there any questions?
Oh, so the next meeting is the 23rd?
Anything on the nothing that is, okay.
Okay, the next meeting is the RDA. 6:30, okay. All right.
You good?
Yeah, I just copied that down, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next, making another appearance. Hopefully, we're nearing its end.
I think so, Tom, I haven't really talked to Dan. Have you
94th Street.
had any conversation with him?
No, I think we approved the project, right?
The project was approved by the planning board in June.
I know them all intimately, as you can see.
The planning board approved the project in June. I went before the zoning board on July 12th, I think it was. And they kind of re-upped the variance in the event that, you know, there was some confusion whether it was still going to be good, not good. Didn't want any hiccups with Dan and his financing. That has been filed. I don't know that it's cleared the 20-day appeal period, but I'll speak with Kara, and as soon as it's appealed, as soon as the 20-day appeal period will come, I'll need a check from you to record it, and then I'll take it down and record it.
Okay.
And then that will be the end of that until the closing, which
September
is...
28th.
Yeah, it's set for the end of September.
Well, considering we're essentially 20 days from July 12th right now, I'm assuming you haven't made it through an appeal period.
No, we haven't, you know, because I don't know when
Or
Mr.
when the
Gray...
decision was filed.
Mr. Gray filed it, that was a Tuesday, he probably filed it by Monday, the following Monday, so
A few days.
a few days. I was going to be gone for that period when it needed to be recorded, but now I'm not. And I believe everything, I haven't heard anything otherwise from the buyer, but I think everything is going smoothly.
I think so too. I haven't, like I say, I haven't heard from Dan. Last time he was here personally to let us know.
Yeah, that was just at the end.
Attorney General, Kathleen O'Donnell was here also. And she told us that the new P&S, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it yet, but she
Yeah.
will be coming.
It's all signed, and I
so-
have it
yeah,
on scan.
Right,
And it extended the period to the 28th of September.
right. And that was good because he was now informed that he's working on a new variance.
Right, so it actually all worked out well.
Oh, it's just amazing. That's just worked out.
And I'm afraid Roger will never know what it was like to
Oh,
have
my God.
94th Street on every agenda. Well,
For how
for
many
how
years?
many years? 12?
I don't know, 2015.
But that's the update on that. I
Right.
believe it was another craftsman tradesman building that's going in there. But
Can I just say a couple things? I drove by there today, I was very curious. I said, ooh, look at all those stakes. We paid for concrete cement barriers. So I drove up to where I knew the stake was, and there were new stakes right next to those barriers.
oh, good.
And then I drove to the end of the property, and there was that corner one that I remember that I tripped over when Stephen Gray caught me. He was so wonderful. And then I went back down, and Mr. Williams, is that who it was? The one that owns that middle piece? John, what's his name?
I think so, Jack Williams. I think Williams Brothers.
It's all been resurveyed with sticks and everything, and it's just all the way back too, so
Okay.
it's gonna be sold, and I don't know what it's gonna be.
As long as it's our piece is sold.
Oh, yeah,
So,
we're good.
We're good, and we'll be able to, at the time that it's sold in the October meeting, we'll probably be able to give an accounting of the money that was returned back to the town in repayment of the taxes so long ago, and we'll get our expenses back, which were a little considerable when we couldn't find a deed to it.
It's just that Kathleen needs to, on her invoices, she needs to separate because she's still working on that.
I believe lawyers know how to do that very well.
Oh, okay, I do.
I believe they know how to invoice
Oh, yeah.
very well.
Because I have to do the accounting and I have to know, what it was.
Yep.
So anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's a real positive thing for us right
Yeah,
now,
really.
is keep your fingers crossed and then to move on to our next.
Oh, it's Wade Street.
The main event for today.
Oh, okay, Wade Street.
And just by way of intro, I had an inquiry from someone, I believe they might have lived in might live in a neighborhood, this is my neighborhood as well, but I'm not entirely sure, who wanted to know like what's happening with Wade Street. And some of you may remember that there is a parcel, I have a map up here if anyone wants to see it, but there's a parcel of land off South Meadow in Vaughan Estates. There's a little side road called Wade Street, and it ends in a cul-de-sac. The very end of the cul-de-sac is a 6-point-something acre parcel that was unbuildable. It was left there by the developer, the Williams brothers, in the 70s and early 80s. It was taken for taxes. It was foreclosed on. And then in the 2009 annual town meeting, it was voted to give it to the Redevelopment Authority for disposal, for some of the work that the Redevelopment Authority does. It is not all the North Carver project by a long shot. And in 2010, a deed was given by the town to the Carver Redevelopment Authority with a memo of understanding. And that was recorded at the Registry of Deeds. So if you go to the assessors for the Wade Street parcel, you'll see that it is owned by the Redevelopment Authority. So for the past 48 hours or so, I had turned to somebody who loves a rabbit hole more than anyone I know. And we've probably spent about 3 hours total on the phone.
Yep.
With the enormous amount of information she turned up, because I vaguely remember, I inquired of Elaine Weston, and she kind of thinks that it was turned over to the town, but we don't have a paper trail. We didn't have votes. We didn't have a lot of the technical things we needed to make sure that if the RDA didn't have it anymore, when did we vote to, a prior board obviously vote to turn it over to the select board, Concom? Everybody seems to be in play. And where did it go from there? Because it is simply lost. So I asked the one person that I knew who would clear her schedule and find this up, and the reams of information that she came up with in a very short time is a testament to Joanna Layton, and I am going to let her take the floor to summarize. And just briefly, we're going to summarize it. We have information maybe from Mr. Bott, and then I believe we will simply move through for the next month to either confirm, deny, figure it out.
Exactly.
We do have one of our prior members of the RDA who was there for all of this,
Brian
Abatello, and we'll see what you have to offer as soon as Mrs. Layton gives us what she has discovered. So I've set it up. It went to the RDA and the deed in 2010. Mm-hmm. What have you got?
Well, I only include a couple of pieces here, the important pieces.
Yep, that's
Through
all
this
we
whole timeline, which I've numbered very carefully, I will put all of the documents that really pertain to that. And I'll scan all that. And when I scan it, Sharon, I'll say 1, and then I'll have all that detail, and 2, and all that detail, so you could follow back with the detail. So the Wade Street timeline started, like you said, the RDA acquired the property from the select board with a town meeting vote November 30th in 2009. The select board granted to the RDA by way of a quick claim deed, subject to the terms by way of an MOU that was attached dated January 12, 2010. The deed was finally recorded on April 15th, 2010. The assessor's property record, as I taking some snippets out of it, April 15, 2010, RDA was the owner of 0 Wade Street, 6.320 acres with a value of $13,800. The record showed North Carver unbilled /90, and I'm assuming that's an assessor term, no adjust, parenthesis, recreation area for Vaughan Estates. Number 5, RDA began to market the property, and Makepeace was the interested party to purchase the property for a sum of $18,900. RDA and Makepeace signed the P&S. Next step went to the planning board. During that time, the residents of Vaughan Estates, all 131 of them, mind you, live there, begin to learn of the potential sale to Makepeace. Much to do about something made the RDA listen, revoke the P&S, and advise the planning board of the change in plans. On April 10th, 2012, our lawyer, Kathleen O'Donnell, wrote a letter to Jack Hunter, then our town planner, and the members of the RDA. Kathleen O'Donnell's letter is attached, and you'll see it here for reading. This is a very important letter because it not only describes everything, it kind of brings everything together for what happened. And she's saying the CR, can I read it?
I mean, if you can summarize it, it's going to be a matter of record.
Okay, so the CRA executed a purchase and sale agreement on October 11, 2011 with AD Makepeace Company, agreeing to sell a lot located at the end of Wade Street, to AD Makepeace. The sale was conditioned upon the CRA obtaining a decision from the planning board that would modify the 1976 subdivision plan that restricted the lot as recreation area to allow cranberry operations. Let me just say, what they wanted to do was to have a road in there, and possibly they told us, oh, it'd be a shortcut, but no, we realized it could be mining the sand on the 6.32 acres. So it would have to then be commercial. The planning board did not reach a decision in time for the closing date. The CRA terminated the purchase and sale agreement over the objections of the buyer. After the termination of this agreement, the CRA agreed to transfer the lot to the town, acting by and through the Conservation Commission. That's what we wanted to do. A deed has been prepared, reviewed, and approved for execution by the CRA. I understand that at the last meeting, she's saying, members of the CRA sought to rescind this transfer to sell the lot on the open market. That's another thing. We decided we weren't going to sell anything anymore, and we wanted to give it back to the town. She's saying, in my opinion, the CRA has a binding agreement with the town of Carver to transfer the lot for the consideration of $19,000. I think she rounded up the 18.9 number. The town has agreed to accept the lot, notwithstanding the fact that the lot is still subject to a potential restriction based on the designation recited on the 1976 subdivision plan, which is, it's a recreation lot. Not buildable, but a recreation lot. It could seek to enforce the sale by suit should the CRA renew its request to the planning board so it could convey clear title to a third party. She's saying, I suspect that the former buyer would seek to enforce its purchase and sale agreement, arguing bad faith on the part of the CRA. That we heard about all that. In light of these risks, she's saying, I recommend that the CRD proceed as planned and transfer the lot to the Conservation Commission. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, that was 10 years ago. So you make reference to on October 1st, 2012. So did you get those minutes?
I have them all, but I haven't scanned them. I've got
Okay.
everything that I got here.
But that's not here. So
Is,
you have-
it's not, it's in my house.
Okay,
I haven't
fine.
done it. Tomorrow
great.
tomorrow I can take care of that.
Okay, but you found.
I got everything. I'm not talking about anything I don't have.
Okay.
Okay? On October 1st, 2012, the RDA took a vote to give back to the town. The preference was for the recreation lot to go to the Conservation Commission as open space, to be kept so that all the 131 residents could enjoy the use of that property as it was designated on the 1976 subdivision plan. On October 23, 2012, we're moving along, there was a joint Select Board and RDA meeting. Select person Helen Marone made a motion to accept both parties, Oak Drive and Wade Street. Oak Drive became non-buildable, that's where the community garden is now in Crystal Lake. So that's why we had to turn it back over. And of course, Wade Street from the RDA. Jack Franey, then a member of both the Select Board and the RDA, which is kind of conflicting today if you think about it. He made a motion to put Wade Street on the next meeting agenda. And on November 13, 2012, that next Select Board meeting, which was their next meeting, it was held, and many of the residents came to offer their opinions, all stated to leave alone, let it be what it was designated to be, namely recreation area. You were there too, I got you on record.
Yeah, I put it forward.
During the RDA October 2012 meeting, concern was growing as the RDA was learning that the adjacent lot owned by the Boulets was encroaching the recreation lot on a slow but steady basis by building several stone walls, making a paved entrance onto the property into the direction of their property, and electrifying underground from the telephone pole to a building on their property. The RDA requested the town planner, then Jim Walsh, to send out a cease and desist order letter to the Boulets, and it was sent on November 26, 2019.
Can I just jump in?
Sure.
You say this was during an RDA meeting of October 2012?
I didn't have it.
Not all of that.
Okay.
All the piece about the encroachment and the electric wasn't during that period of time.
Well, the
It was not.
minutes say October. We had an October meeting.
Yes.
And I believe it was Sharon that says, what's happened here because we were really starting to.
I think that was 2019.
That was
Oh,
like
oh.
2019.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, gosh.
2012 is when we pushed everything back to the selectmen. The selectmen.
Right.
We agreed that it was gonna go to conservation, and then I met with conservation to talk about that, and then.
But I
they
remember,
didn't want it.
I remember the cease and desist on, and I didn't think, I didn't know who you were in 2012, so.
Okay, so I have the letter here, so you'll see the exact date, November
Okay.
26, 2019. It's right here.
Okay, great.
So
I just want this.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that, because that was
Two
wrong.
separate events.
Right.
Yes.
So now, as I read, cease and desist, November 26, 2019, which coincides with what it is. Jim Walsh's certified letter, and I attached also these pictures to show you the encroaching, what they were doing. He sends it to Charles and Mary Bollet, or owners of the record. He's saying that Carver Redevelopment owns the property located, and he gives her the specifics of it. The CRA owns the 25-foot right-of-way located between your property at 16 Wade Street and the abutting property at 17 Wade Street, which is the person across. It has come to the CRA's attention that a stone brick wall was built across the CRA's right-of-way that matches the construction of the wall located in the front of your property. The CRA is requesting that you take action to remove the wall in front of the CRA's right-of-way. Please respond to this letter by December 3rd, 2019 to let you know your intentions and the timeline for moving the wall. Thank you. If you open it up, the next page I attached you'll see 16 is the address of the Boulets, and the 17 is Iovana still there?
No, Chevry is the name.
Oh, okay, so you can see the cul-de-sac, and you'll see that 25-foot area that you're saying? You see that too?
Yeah, I also want to point out that this certified letter was sent by Will Sinclair, the chairman of the RDA, not by Jim Walsh.
Oh, good, thank you for seeing that. Okay.
So this letter came from the RDA and it was not sent by Jim Walsh. It could be that it was supposed to, the certified receipt was supposed to end up at the town hall, because that was our mailing.
We did draw that up, I was on the
Yeah,
RDA at the time.
I was there too.
So you're telling me that Jim was asked to do it,
Jim
but
was-
the reality was Will
I
was...
think he drew it up for Will to sign and
Yeah.
Yeah, he drew it up, okay, I can change that, no problem.
Yeah, it's just that it came from Will.
Yeah, okay,
It
no
came from
problem.
it came from the chairman of this board.
Yes, exactly. So the other pictures, which clearly show how they built this wonderful wall, which clearly matches their wall in front of their house. And you can also see that the telephone pole, if you look a little closer, a little quarter of the way up, you'll see this gray, that's really piping that is going into the ground, which tracks all the way to their house in the back of their property.
Okay, stay on point here. I just want to, we want to stay on the timeline of who owns the property. What's going on with it, we'll get to, but first we need to know who's responsible for clearing this part up.
You're talking, who will be
Who
responsible?
will be? So
Will be, yeah.
So
Go ahead.
if we back up to number 10,
Okay,
the RDA is still at least acting like they owned it by sending a cease and desist. But if you go back to, 8 and 9, we're talking about having the select board agree to, accept to vote on this and agree to have taken it over, but apparently no deed was ever drawn up.
right.
So when we get to 11, 10 and 11, those kind of enforcement issues are going to be who's ever responsible, and all we have to do. My goal through all of this research is find out who is actually, by vote of a prior board, I don't mean to ignore you because you're over there,
That's okay.
by a vote of a prior board,
Yes.
an acceptance of a prior select board, to honor that. And from a time frame that, that could be a decade. It's gone unresolved.
It's
Or,
been ping-ponged back and forth, because I can tell you when I was on this board, I used to go up every 6 months and ask Mike Milanowski, while he was here, what's going on with Wade Street, all the time, every 6 months at least. I would ask, what's going on? And then when whatever her name was, Marlena, when she was here, I looked into it with her, because it was an interest of mine, because I wanted to know where it was. And as far as I knew, for some time, it was in the hands of the selectmen, and then it ended up coming back to the RDA. So, I want to say the RDA has ownership
Well,
of that piece of property. It's hearsay, I know.
no,
but
I don't think it's hearsay, I think it's a technicality.
Yeah, it is a
Yeah.
technical.
I think right now, we're the owner of record,
Mhm.
but through Joanna's deep dive, and remember, most of these minutes, 2012 minutes and agendas are not on our website.
That's right.
She had to hunt them down.
Yes, the only 2012 the only 2012 that I found, I went on last night, was at the select board meeting.
Yeah,
And I found the minutes stating when I went to with the RDA, as I was speaking to it, to the select board, and Maroney made her comments and so on. That was all I could find. And I thought to myself, this gap, what happened?
you know,
You know?
and what I'm looking for is that, and Joanna apparently has found it at least, in the minutes at her home, and she's gonna scan them all, is that there's a vote of the RDA in 2012 saying, we're going to give it back with the recommendation that it become either under the care of the Conservation Commission, but it remains open space, and that was 10 years ago.
Right.
Then there was a follow-up meeting with the select board recommending that they take it on. Then they had another meeting where they took comments from, you know, Brian, you said you were there. And if there is a vote at the bottom of this that says they voted 4-0, 5-0 to accept the property, that's what at least I'm looking for. And then if that's there, then we can go forward with telling KPL, do what you gotta do.
Okay.
I'll ask for your input in a second.
Why are we telling KPL to do what they have to do?
Because we're not paying for this.
Oh, yeah.
We're not paying for this. KPL can either have to draft the deeds, or they're gonna have to get certified copies of the minutes. Same thing we had to do when we had to clean up Forest Street,
Okay.
when we were missing the deed to Forest Street. Tom, do you have anything?
No.
Well, that was easy.
He's listening.
But am I right about the process?
I would venture to say likely. But, okay, and this is all fascinating to me.
Well,
That happens.
We
And
want-
things
we
fall
want-
through the cracks, and then 10 years later, people will go, I tripped in this crack, and look what I found.
Well, I think, and as Joanne and I have been discussing this for the last 2 days, I think there's a couple of other things that might be in play. Is that in 2019 with our former town administrator, Michael Milanowski, we have the letter from the abutters, Weather Vane, who have the over 55 project going in
Yeah.
basically behind you.
Yeah, right behind my house.
There you go.
Which got stalled, but they wanted to buy that additional parcel. It's not big enough to be accessed and it's too hilly, but they wanted for open space so that they can
Right.
have additional units. And that may still be around, I don't know, because now they're building, there's actually,
There's 3 buildings there now.
yeah,
on that
there is.
property. Yeah.
So whether that is gonna circle around and they're gonna make an inquiry to,
I
It
was
would
under
be
the
you.
impression that that happened. That's why I dropped my axe, so to speak, you know, as far as I thought, okay, this is a settled, done deal, because to my knowledge, they bought the bog on Wade Street as well. And they were gonna combine the bog and the 0 Wade Street to create a, I guess you would call it, I don't wanna say like low-income housing. I
no,
guess.
they're not doing that.
Yeah. They were gonna do something on Silver Street. And
Oh,
that's-
yeah, well, they
that
have-
was the-
That was
That is the
TD
purpose of
That's the
it.
TDRs, the transfer of development rights, and that's a whole different animal.
I thought that they were getting their arms around those 2 properties, so they had enough acreage to call that.
The Wade Street bog is primarily for the access road.
for the-
Because they did, for the fire road, they didn't have a second form of egress
Mhm.
out of the Weather Vane big parcel.
Yep,
And according to fire code, they need another road in and out. And when they bought that, that actually has a fire road. That's
Yes,
the
it
little
does.
road on the side. So that's the purpose of that parcel.
oh, okay, all right.
I mean, they're not boggers or doing anything with it, but they
No.
needed that to satisfy, as I understand it, back when they were doing their original 2018
Yes,
Patriot Pines, whatever.
yes.
The additional parcel in the back, which is almost 7 acres, I don't know, under our planning guidelines, whether that would constitute, if they bought that and that became open space, whether they get 3 more units in their density, I don't know. I don't know how that
We
works.
suggested too, there was talk, because I was at that planning board meeting, special interest, obviously, it's right behind my house. I was suggesting for the drainage and for all their mechanics, that would be a great piece of property for that all to happen, because it would be off to the left of your, mainstay of your project. And then they balked at that because they said the drainage in Carver is so great, which it is, and the way it would run off and all this, we wouldn't have to worry about it. And then I was like, oh, bummer, they didn't take that piece of property. And then I heard through the grapevine that they did, and that was what I just explained. That's what I thought happened with that property. So I've been walking around with that in my head for the last like 3-4 years. Oh, good, it's all done, now I'm here.
As Joanna has unearthed, good term, we had it in 2010, there was a deed given to us by town meeting authorization. And then at 2012, whoever was on the board at that time, I think it was only you. Were you on?
No, I was on.
You on?
This
Okay.
property sparked my interest in getting involved in town politics.
Oh, okay.
And Bob Belbin was also.
Yes, that
In
was
2012,
personality was in there too.
Bob Belbin was
Yeah, I
there.
jumped
too.
And
right
Wilson-
on.
and Wilson Clare.
And Frank.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We're all on the board together.
So, at that time, whatever the reasoning behind turning it back over to the town and/or Concom, after the sale kind of fell through for Makepeace, I just need votes. I just need certified votes, certified minutes. I understand she might have them.
I do.
And once we see them, we can present that to the Board of Selectmen and Elaine Weston and Mr. Fennessy, because my initial inquiry to them is like, we don't have anything, we have your deed.
Yeah.
And Chairman Townsend replied to me only that he found one of the minutes that said something about put together a deed and get it on record. But that's not good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not the paper trail I need. And I think ultimately, we'll follow whatever previous board said to do. But we will definitely either reaffirm the vote and interject our own personal thoughts
I think so, yeah.
as far as leaving it as open space. Clearly, there's an encroachment. I live in that neighborhood. I drove by there today, just got out of my car and just sat there, just kind of stared. I had the plan in front of me and go like, there's a wall here.
Yeah.
There's a wall here, and it should be there.
So,
Go ahead.
I need the question. Being new on the board,
Go ahead.
recently elected. So some of the topics we're talking about, which is what you may still have, is the gap of minutes, which I was gonna bring up, but you brought that up, is the meeting minute gap between November 13, 2012, number 9, and the correction of, in number 10, which is RDA October 2019 meeting.
Right.
So we're looking at those minutes that may have specific information pertaining to this property.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so understanding that now, then when we're talking about weather vane property, are we looking at your map, the map that was assigned to that packet? We're talking about the property with the 107 behind this portion of the neighborhood or over here? Or we're talking weather vane, where would you?
Weathervane owns all of this today. This is what they want.
Right.
This is the 6.32 recreation area that they're potentially looking to buy.
Okay.
Well, we don't know, we have no inquiry from Makepeace right now. That was years and years ago.
No, this is, he's talking about Weathervane.
I'm talking
Oh,
about
weather vane.
option number 12, point number 12 that she brought up.
I didn't get that far yet, but he read it.
Yeah, well, he can read it, but it's,
But the concept is, so, if we do own it, and we're going to entertain whether a sale to Weathervane, if we own it, won't we have to pull back everybody, of those 131 residents to re-get their input if we
Of course.
haven't done it? Okay, so it's gonna open that
God,
can of worms again.
no.
It's square one.
It's, as far as I'm concerned, Roger, and I'm only one member of the board here, but if we can't put together the proper paper trail, if we can't put together the official votes and acceptances, and we have an opinion from our attorney when she comes back from sailing, that we are still the owners, then we will either start entertaining the idea of turning it over to the Concom with certain restrictions. We will have a public hearing on it. This is not something that would just suddenly, we don't do anything quickly.
Yeah,
Did I hear?
Well, we do it right.
The Conservation Committee did not want this property?
They-
I didn't read it, but I
Well,
heard
I
it.
can tell, this is what happened. This piece of property has been it's been volatile.
Got it.
For 10 years. And
It's a literal hot potato.
It really is. And, you know, there was questions about, because it's a stump dump. It's like.
Yeah.
there's
I know the property well.
There's probably, so you know it. So
I
there's
know
like
it, yeah.
there's plenty of places to break a leg in there. And if you're not putting a house on it, you're not putting a road in it, because there's no way in hell you're gonna be able to do that and have it sustained. So core samples came up in. You'll see some of the notes, if you go through, you're gonna see, somebody wanted core samples.
You see the minutes that I
Oh my God,
prepare.
core samples, you're gonna find what? Rotten wood.
Yeah.
So that's what prompted the conservation to bulk, because they said, this is just, to use your words, a hot potato. And they were just like, no way. And then it came back to us, and then we ended up, pivoting to some other direction. to try
Okay,
to
that's good. That's good.
Contain this property so we could get it back to the people of Vaughan Estates. That's my goal, anyway, and
Yeah.
that's what we've all tried to do.
I think
Would
we're
anybody
saying,
let their kids play back there?
So just a clarification, so this 6.3 acre lot, this is the stump dump you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I've been on this case since 3 o'clock this afternoon.
about 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to give you a heads up.
I just, I'm not that person who gets things done in a year in advance, ask anybody. So the timing was perfect. So I just did a look at the subdivision, and it's a requirement that this is a recreation area. It's in the subdivision plan, so it's really not for sale to anybody except for recreational purposes. And if it's a requirement in a subdivision, you can't sort of give it away, in my opinion, to somebody else for a recreation area and sort of double dip on it. So, and I understand why the Conservation Commission balked on that. Why do we want a piece of property that's gonna have stuff in it?
Yeah, yeah,
It's not toads and salamanders, it's, stuff we don't want.
yeah. Who knows?
But I think that the case that it is what it is, and someone's encroaching on it, you want to identify if there's an encroachment and have it fixed. And so I asked the building commissioner today if he had any conversations about this, and he had not. So we're going to have another
No,
conversation.
He's brand new.
He's too new for this.
I know. Well, he heard about it at 401.
Now, under tax lien foreclosure, would it have lost its protection as a recreation area?
It's
I don't
required
think so.
subdivision.
I would say no.
And my opinion is if it's in a subdivision plan and it says, sometimes on a plan, something's just out there, it says stuff, parcel 5. But in this case, in the subdivision plan, it says recreation area.
Right.
So-
I mean, on the recorded plan, it says unbuildable lot.
But it's also recreational because the town records put it on there. They didn't just make it up.
Yeah, it must be something that's in the planning board, because the recorded plan, it just says unbuildable lot due to inadequate frontage.
Yep.
And it's that too, they don't have enough.
That's 25 feet.
Yeah, they need 25 feet, I guess.
It's only 20 feet?
20, it's 25. Well, now you can't get.
They need more than 25 feet to get in there?
Yeah, they said they needed 25 feet, and it would have to be, to my knowledge, it would have had to have been a zoning, there would have to have been a change in the zoning or something like that.
Well, it'd have to be a variance.
A variance.
But that would be a 125-foot variance, or it might qualify as a rear lot, but it still needs 40 feet, I believe. So,
Because that's how Ivana got brought into, this is the people who perform.
Across the other side.
Who owned 17. He got into it because he was told, we're gonna have to take some of your property, and that's what, he was like, that's not happening.
who said
So
that?
it was,
Who told him that?
it came through through town hall. That's just- He got, it wasn't anybody on this board. I could-
Gossip was
just
hot and
saying,
heavy.
That's what happened.
We don't-
He came to me and he was like, man, I'm trying to take some of my property. And
Yeah.
we came together and sat in this town hall, and that's how we got involved.
Was that like 10 years ago?
That was 10 years
Okay,
ago.
fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's ancient history now, but
Because he's gone and
You
it's
should
a
know.
Well, it's not that it's ancient history, it's history, and we still need to, Roger, if you want, I can give you these. I made just one set of copies.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is there
These
wasn't
are all-
enough to put a road in.
These are the kind of references we're looking at right now. You can keep those.
So these are for,
No, those do not,
This
no,
down.
these aren't
No,
these.
those are
Those are
select
hers.
board meetings
She was
that
coming up to speed. because
that
she-
might have one line in it, but none of them say, we voted to take this.
The ones that I have and will be putting together have the specifics in there of the vote.
yeah, because I mean, what I'm looking at today is, so for 10 years, people have been operating, to some degree, residents have been operating with that as a recreation area, where they're riding bicycles, motorcycles, hiking, whatever they're doing.
Yeah,
They doing anything
And-
up there?
Right?
yeah, they are.
And
Passing through this path.
Passive.
horsing,
No shooting,
riding
right?
horses, whatever happens to happen. But then also somebody else has been like, the neighbors on these lots 16 and 17, the one, I guess it's 17? was building-
16 is the one that did all
16
the...
built the wall.
Yeah.
So he's trying to take, and then the other property, Weather Vane, wants to use it, and it's already a natural runoff area, so
It
anything
slopes
that-
down, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You can't put anything there.
No, there's
It's-
no way to put anything.
So
in.
technically, it would
Kids could put a fort in there.
That's about what's happening.
it would be
with the-
marshy with mud from time to time
With
after
ticks.
rains and whatnot, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's,
Yeah.
it's, every manner of wildlife is in there, comes out of there. Kids are playing in there right now. We use it as a pass-through to get to the bogs.
You can go to the pond and fish through there too, that's how you go.
People in the neighborhood do pass through there.
Yeah, you just pass through and go fishing in the,
Yeah.
that's a block. But let me ask you a
It's not
question.
been an option.
Has, when residents go, or whether they're non or they are residents, when they're in that property and they go in that open area that the Boulets created, are they out there telling them to get out of there?
Not to my knowledge,
Okay,
not to my knowledge. I mean, you
They
can
just
walk
let 'em
down-
go?
You can walk down the side of the property, all around the side to get down, and avoid the woods if you want to.
I mean, when I looked
It's
at,
wide open.
when I went out there today and looked at the wall, it's just stacked, pavers. You could, I'm not gonna do it, but anyone could pretty easily
is
just
that
take
it?
it
It's not
apart.
cemented,
It's
it's
not
just stacked?
cemented, it's,
Yeah, I don't-
no, and it's got behind it, it's got some, it's just
It's
cinder
expensive.
block, it's just got cinder blocks where they grew something that died.
And so just to, asking the question again.
Keep going.
As a recreation area, nobody has questioned and said, well, the town, as a recreation area, the town has some responsibility to, like, make sure it's clean, like, lights, making sure the area's clean for, like, passersby. No requests have come, nobody's cared, they've just kept it quiet, left it
Yeah,
alone.
it's just been a little forest that's
Leave it
been
alone.
sitting there for
Yeah.
since the 70s.
Tom, what would be the liability of somebody who gets hurt there?
Well, I don't know. But typically, if you have a piece of public property, is offered public access, there's some manner of implied indemnity from liability. We allow people to come on this property, so if you take a walk on an open space parcel and you break your leg on an open space parcel, you have a broken leg. You
Okay,
can't sue the town because you broke your leg on an open space parcel. That's how I understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I was leading towards.
But
is
we're
that
not.
Nothing's been recorded for 10 years that we
We're
know
not.
of.
So to
Public
the
entity.
to the earlier point,
Yeah, but we could escape a lot of that stuff too.
we don't know that.
so to the earlier
We're going to
point,
ask.
um,
Go ahead,
so to the earlier point.
just making notes before I forget.
That's fine. So to the earlier point about this parcel, what's reported by the Registry of Deeds, there are numerous sheets. Page 18, Plan Book 18, page 781, shows the whole subdivision. That shows parcel B as a recreational area.
So the cover sheet,
The cover sheet, so when we get into the plan itself, it shows in detail, as you said, unbuildable due to inadequate frontage.
right, that's the page I have here.
But the first page you're
But
saying
the-
says
but the cover-
recreation.
First page says at the end of Wade Road, parcel B, recreational area.
Okay, so that must have come from the
And what's-
planning board. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. And what is behind that? Like that unmarked area? Is that neighborhood? Is that bog?
What do you mean?
No, that's
Behind the
that's
whole
Makepeace.
thing?
Like, so yeah.
Make
that's-
peace.
Acres and acres of box.
Yeah, make
The
peace.
Makepeace box?
Yeah.
That's why they wanted it?
Makepeace sold the property that eventually became the Weather Vane area.
So they own that whole area. I won't-
So if you were looking for a road all the way through, it's like Bunny's Road, isn't it? That goes
Yeah.
out to,
Yeah, there used to be some kind of road that you could travel through, but it's all
Right.
overgrown now.
it's, okay.
The reason there's an access there is because Williams Brothers, I guess, they were just driving their trucks back there and
They
dropping their dump.
they were notorious for stump dumps.
Yeah.
Terrible for them.
It's,
Well, they filled in, I did a site walk with Bob Elvin, there was like a deep whatever, and they just kept dumping the.
Well, that's,
Oh, yeah.
Dumping
that's
it, and
the
they
rotting-
layer sand, dumping layers, and you
But
can
that's
tell
the-
that. You
that's
can
the
tell
rotting wood.
It's
stump dump.
it's a little bit
stand down
depressing.
the pine grove behind it and look up, it's probably about 45, 50 feet of slope. Like,
Right.
when you're down on the edge of that pine grove behind it, it just slopes up and I go back there and I'm amazed, I'm like, how many stumps are under there, you know, how many acres? It must be the whole neighborhood, they just dumped it in there and just covered it with cap. And now it's-
Well, let me just tell you, I've been in this town 50 years, and I'm gonna tell you about that little corner. There used to be where the actually road comes in that the Boulets have cleaned, about 15, 25, maybe even 30 feet back, that was clear, which is today. The fire department came and put a fence with a gate, you know, with a lock,
Yes,
because the Vaughan Estate people and maybe some of the other residents in Carver would come in the still of the night and dump
Yep.
oil, cans, all kinds of crap. And the residents around there, and I don't know if it was the Boulets, were calling all the time, complaining. And finally, the fire department, that was their solve, and that's the way it was solved. And then, when we took the property over, okay, Bob Belvin and I skirted around that. The gate was still there, the whole
Yeah.
thing was still there. And then, as we were working on it, it was the Boulets, Mrs. Boulay, I believe, was very active in getting that clear and taking out that fence.
well, let me stop you right there. That-
All right,
I have to make this statement because that's not a true statement.
No, not true?
No.
okay, then go
The
ahead.
Eagle Scouts went there.
Oh,
put
that's
in
right.
a whole bunch of stuff. They did a whole like pathway. They put a dumpster there that ABC put there as a donation to them.
Oh.
And that fence went in that dumpster. It wasn't the Boulets who did that.
That's right, there was that's been since I was in there. you know.
So when that happened, the fence came down?
Fence was the first thing to go in the dumpster. Yep.
Oh,
I
was
sat
it-
there and watched it.
Oh,
It was
good.
an
I live
Eagle-
right across the street.
It was an Eagle Scout project.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's Bob Belvin's Eagle Scout troop.
Yeah, his boy was
Right?
there. He's a nice kid. Yeah,
Okay.
he's a really
Well,
good kid.
you're an Eagle
They
guy,
went
so
there
you
and
would
they did
know.
their thing. He knocked on our door, you know, I see him all over town, he's a really good kid. You know, and when they were all there doing their Eagle Scout project,
Oh, good.
I was like, oh, that's pretty good. They cleaned out all the junk that was in there, they put in, but that was the first thing that went in the dumpster.
Ah, that was the thing, okay.
Yes, yes.
So anything that was visible went, there's a lot of stuff that's not visible, that's just buried with,
Yes, and that's what I think the Boulets were talking about when they said that there was a lot of toxic things or whatever that was dumped in there, but
Yeah.
you're just confirming
Yeah.
it, so.
All right, well,
That's way
let's
before me.
figure out where we go from here.
you want me to keep going?
No, because we stop at this. This is information if we find out who owns it. This is information
Oh,
if we
okay.
get there.
Okay.
So,
Can I say something too? I applaud all of you for doing what you're doing because to get that piece of property back to conservation.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Have it as a, what I would call a
Conservation
animal
restriction,
reserve or something.
it's called a conservation
It's really
restriction,
nice to see
and
that
we
people
can
are
write,
fighting
it
for
will be
so
written up.
it's proof.
They can write it up to the detail that'll want it,
I
that
think
we
that'll
will
make the
want
people
it.
of all states pretty happy.
I'm just concerned, and if I may, I'm just concerned that, yeah, the selectmen never took action, okay?
No, they didn't.
They didn't, and they were wrong by not doing it. And you can go back 10 years and you can say to each one of those on that board, because as I'm telling you, it was always brought up. And then at the very end, the next one on December 3rd is the important one, that the RDA learned that, Select Board Bob Belvin's request to talk about Wade Street. Now remember, this is December 3rd, 2019, okay?
Yeah,
All that
yeah.
years have passed. But he's on the board now, and he's always present, and he was requesting to talk about Wade Street. It finally came to fruition with action from the state select board chairman, I believe it was Ron Clark.
it was.
There was a vote of the members to take action, have the new Wade Street deed created and filed at the registry, and have it secured with the town. He turned to Bob Belvin and said, can you provide us documents that show the meetings that you, RDA, voted to transfer it? Well, I got them. I haven't put them together, you haven't seen them yet, but I got them. So
Good.
what Sharon is talking about, it was a reality, okay?
So that's what we need to do. And once I see the documentation that what did you say, like 20, 30 pages?
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything to
I'm
want
sure
to.
it's a good read.
It'll be a nice day with a lemonade.
exactly.
But what I see happening is that I'll go through these. These will have to be submitted to Elaine and Bob Fennessy. They will have to be vetted. They will have to be certified minutes from their records too. And then they'll transfer it over to the select board. If indeed it was just like we're giving it back to the town, then it's out of our control. But then when it moves into the select board's control, that's when you'll have to start watching agendas and keep an eye out. Mark Townsend is very amenable to emailing and checking with them. And Mr. Bott.
So, the Conservation Commission can take possession of a piece of property without going to town meeting.
Right.
But for the town to take possession of the property, it has to go to town meeting. So if the selectmen were to take possession of the property, that's a requirement to go to town meeting. Because
So I would say that
They didn't bring that up once in 10 years worth of minutes.
we should
They
have.
just said, thanks, we'll write up a deed.
well, they can write up a deed, but as I understand it, keep in mind I'm not an attorney, I'm just a guy who's been in a lot of meetings over the years. That in order for the town to acquire or dispose of a piece of property, that's town meeting.
Well, town meeting gave it to us. And we just can't give it back?
At town meeting.
Yeah,
Or the
but
Conservation Commission.
if you give it to the
But Joanna's
Conservation.
got this all pumped up, I don't see why the Conservation Commission's on, they pour things out there, they put stuff back.
Why wouldn't they want something?
Yeah, right. I mean, if you go to the Conservation Committee and you say to them, you want to transfer that from, and give them our story of a story, right? And they accept to, and it's open space. They will accept it, and he's right, you don't have to go to town meeting because they've accepted. Now, when I was, and I'm still doing this on the Wenham Shores for our recreation area, same kind of thing, right? A pile of sand, tax title. The town administrator then, Mike, decided he needed more money, so he was gonna do a auction, and that's how we learned about it. Now, I've been working on this for a year and a half, but a lot of it is my own personal speed because of my own things in my own household, but nobody lost any title for the recreation area that's on my plot plan, even though it went to tax title, it never lost, it always was. I wrote up initially, and then Sarah Hewins worked with KP Law just this last meeting to square away picnic aisle, that was the second piece. And it talks about conservation, and I'll bring it in so you can see.
Yeah.
It talks about 78, Article 78, there's something to do with that, I can't remember what it was. Something to do with the
Article 19.
conservation. But if Conservation Committee decides, and you approach them, and they decide they'll accept it.
I will be talking to Savory in the morning.
Well, I think, if I may, I think the first thing you have to do, and hopefully we're getting to the punchline at some point,
Yes,
is that the property needs to be surveyed.
Yes, she won't let me read it, but that's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
I'm stopping.
I don't wanna take anybody's thunder, but
No, we've talked about surveying it and putting boundaries, but that's really expensive, and I'm not sure that the RDA, if the property is owned by the town, by the fact that we turned it over to them,
Well, the conservation has money, they can buy it. They
Well-
have $600,000+. You gotta be kidding me.
anyway, it's a case of there were deeper pockets, and if they already own it, then I would like to see, it's gonna have to be surveyed, there's no question. It's gonna have to have markers and boundaries to prove the encroachment, if anything else.
Perhaps at some point during this meeting, the RDA may recommend that someone survey the property in order to determine what is the property of record.
Hey, they are.
We can just say someone.
I'm not putting words in your mouth other than the words I put in there.
I like that
The
motion.
motion is that
The property, it's the position of the RDA that the property should be surveyed in order to determine the extent of the town's holdings and any potential encroachment.
So moved.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't say that, I can't make a motion.
She can't make a motion.
I'm just, huh?
What's your name?
I'm Tom Bott. I'm
He's the town planner.
Nice
Oh,
to meet
he's a
you.
town planner.
Good stuff.
I guess what I'm thinking of is that my initial plan tonight had been to hear Joanna's extensive research and vet it as best we can, and then set up a plan, and that would be, we would do that at our next meeting.
So when am I gonna read the last three?
Next time.
Cliffhanger. Don't you watch the TV show? You gotta.
You know, I know,
That's when we'll have a motion.
you know what? It's a public document. You're killing yourself to read it. Go ahead.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
Put your ears on it. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, here we go, number 12.
I want you to just read it and no editorial.
Oh, okay. Today we are discussing, number 12 says, today we are discussing Wade Street again because Weather Vane property owner adjacent to Vaughn Estates wants to buy the recreation area, 6.320 acres from the town.
Okay, wait, I'm gonna editorialize. We do not know that for a fact. Go ahead.
Well, I heard that a lot, but okay.
That was
Rumors have it,
rumor, that was in 2019.
Rumors today.
In 2019, Michael Malinowski was approached by Weather Vane to buy the property. There was a meeting that, I think it's at December in 2019 select board meeting. It was brought up. They said something about like make a deed and we'll make it happen because they didn't have the deed to the property.
we did have it.
So that, we have no evidence.
So I can change that.
Rumor has it.
Rumor has it.
It's a possibility.
Rumor has it, possibility, da-da-da-da, I can change that.
But that today is not today, it's still back in 2019.
No.
In
recent.
2019, Weather Vane did inquire about buying that piece of property from the town.
Right.
Okay, so we would inject, today we're discussing it because of 2019.
Well, that's
Not
just part of the mix, because in 2019, the town thought they owned it, and in 2019, the same year, we're issuing from our board cease and desist. So we clearly thought we owned it. So there, it's just,
They couldn't
Okay.
buy it from the town because they didn't know, they didn't have a deed to.
they didn't have the deed, and we have letters from KPL, Katie Klein, saying, send me the stuff, and it's like, they don't have the
They
stuff.
don't have the stuff.
Okay, I just questioned the word today, only like meaningly, we're
Right.
really only talking about it today or no, because it's a new inquiry, but no, this is just unfinished business, and
It's,
that's why it's back on our
it's
table.
it's unfinished business, and this is something Weather Vane did before.
Thank you.
And now that they're up and running and building, it's
They really
not
probably
far-fetched.
gonna be very interested. So if I can continue.
You can
However, the
continue.
RDA has now come to know that the select board for all of these days and all of those times of meeting to discuss has taken no action. Technically, the RDA still owns the
I
property.
don't disagree with that.
And as Kathleen O'Donnell stated in her last line of the letter, I recommend that the CRA proceed as planned and transfer the lot to the Conservation Commission. That's what she says.
Okay, and that letter was dated April 10th, 2012.
Exactly. Number 13 says, as one of the RDA members, that's me, I too make that recommendation, but first the RDA must survey the property with concrete boundaries and replace the benchmark, which is located on the cul-de-sac circle somewhere. The new layout of macadam.
Yeah, we've got brand new tar down there, so they.
Yeah, but Tom Bott says they have tools and they go da-da-da-da-da and they can find it.
Yeah, they can find it with a locator.
So again, number 14, and I'll end, as one of the RDA members, and that's me, I also recommend the RDA take the action that Kathleen O'Donnell suggested within the letter, which is the last paragraph, and she says, in my opinion, the CRA has a binding agreement with the town of Carver to transfer the lot for the consideration of $19,000. Okay.
Well, it would be more if we paid to survey the lot.
Absolutely,
Because that-
and plus
that
all
could
the
be-
other, previous
Yeah, that could
things
be.
we sent.
Plus 10 years worth of property value change.
Well,
Up or
Yeah,
down.
huh?
okay, right. But like I say, the Conservation Commission has money and they can buy, and they've been known to do it. They've been known to do it. The town has agreed to accept the lot notwithstanding the fact that the lot is still subject to a potential restriction based on the designation recited on the 1976 subdivision plan, which you said. There we go. Mr. Bach, can you be recognized? Sure.
Oh, sorry.
So the only reason I mentioned surveying the property is in order for the building commissioner to take any action, and it's the building commissioner who really should be taking that action, he has to know what's where. So you've got to have a survey. Because the building commissioner can't go out there and go, yeah, it looks like it's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
He wants a survey that says, yeah, that stuff's in the wrong place.
And it should be concrete boundaries because those other ones are worthless, because we went through that on Forest Street. It costs more money, but that's the way you should go. And that benchmark is important also.
What kind of money do we have?
I don't know, who's the treasurer?
Have we got like $12,000 for a survey?
It's a couple $1,000.
That gets to the sense of the
No, I
courts
can look it
mine.
up, it's what's about.
That's why the surveyor can find them, because
We've got.
It was about 2,000 to
they're made
survey.
out of concrete, because they're
No
rebar.
idea what.
No, this would
Granite,
be
they may have, iron.
in some of the records I have.
All right,
That's the records I have.
Need a survey, we'll figure a way to pay for it then.
Okay.
That's all.
and they get our money back.
That's what I do.
Well, if you want to authorize the town planner to get an estimate for surveying the property,
I was just going
I
to,
would ask him if you could do that.
I would entertain a motion of authorizing the town planner to get 2 estimates, I'll make it hard on you, for a survey with concrete benchmarks or granite.
Concrete boundaries and
And
a
the
benchmark, and a
benchmarks.
benchmark.
Right, the benchmarks for the survey in order to prove whether there has been an encroachment or not by an abutter.
Exactly.
Someone say so moved?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Just waiting for Joanna. And Tom, does that have to go through the procurement law?
Depends on how much it is.
We never had to go through the procurement. DHCD does not.
Yeah,
Does-
standard business practice, depending on what it is. If, it's a couple grand, then it's just a couple
think
quotes. If
I
it's
know.
30 grand, 50 grand, then you gotta,
I've been away from it for so long, I don't know what the.
Yeah, no,
It used to
just-
be, it used to be almost everything we had to do, but,
they,
you know, 10,000?
They did an act a few years ago called the Modernization, True Sewer, it's
Yeah.
called the Modernization Act. That basically looked at all the numbers and said, you can't buy stuff for that anymore.
Yeah, we were trying to do that for years with them, and they never would do it. And then when I left, I retired, and then they make it easy.
Just sticking it to you.
All right, so I believe what we're going forward from here is getting an estimate on boundaries or estimates on the survey. And we will take the information that Joanna's going to provide to at least me and the rest of
Yeah,
us
yep.
tomorrow. I will go forward with reviewing it and then getting it to Elaine Weston and to you. Maybe I'll swing by and we can talk about it next week. Keeping you in touch.
Yes, please.
And of course, I'll have questions. And I think that's where we leave that for right now, and we'll take it up again on April 23rd.
Okay.
Sorry.
26.
The other month that begins with an A.
26. How about August 26?
August 26th. Are you sure? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you said.
Yeah.
23rd, August 23rd.
August 23rd? Oh
It's
my
the
God.
23rd.
Yeah, it is the 23rd, August 23rd. I believe it's a Tuesday, right?
It is.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Because I have zoning that night, and I'm going to be trying to get out of it.
You see, we seem to
I have-
have zoning consistently behind us.
Yeah, but we're more important. I did not disperse the minutes because I got them and then got COVID and then I forgot about them. So we will, I gave you hard copies if you want to take those and look at them. And we will review those.
Do you have one for?
I think I gave him one, but here's another one if he needs it.
Yeah.
It'll say draft in the upper right-hand corner.
Draft in the upper right-hand corner.
Okay.
Okay,
So those
now
are-
I have one.
So those are the minutes for the last meeting, which I was not at. They're very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Brian.
you.
Thank you. Nice meeting y'all.
See you on the 23rd. I have no topics not anticipated. Tom, do you have any comment or anything you want to add?
No, I think
You're good?
I think I'm more chatty than I'm supposed to be, sorry.
Anybody, members' comments? Anyone have anything?
Not really.
And I'm going to speak with John Smolak about a meeting next Friday morning
Okay,
at 10 o'clock,
okay.
a week from Friday.
And you
And I'll let everyone know.
confirm that, okay, fine.
Okay, and I'll speak with Savory tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.